Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
All right, everybody, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm at Ironman Hawaii with Rich Soares, who I met exactly a year ago in the media room here without knowing you because I saw you like 10 times that day. So we're back in the same place, and you are just been here all week experiencing Ironman Hawaii. Tell us about your experience this week, because you've been everywhere when I have not been, all the places you've been. So tell me what's going on.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's awesome to see you again. I'm really glad that we get to do this. And so I'm the host of the Mile High Endurance podcast. I've got a co-host, Bill Plock, who also is the owner and kind of we call him our chief everything of 303 Media. So 303 is a online media for Colorado endurance. We cover cycling, triathlon, running, ultra running, everything. And we have 52 athletes that are here from the state of Colorado, including a lot of pros, of course. And we have a really good audience of really engaged endurance athletes back home wanting to see what happens here. So we're here to support the Colorado athletes, pros, and age groupers in my role here with 303. And along the way, we're just having some incredible stories that we've been able to be a part of. And of course, we participate in all the events like you do. You know, at the seminars.
Going to all the parties.
We're going to talk about this. We do go to some pretty good parties. Everybody's got a party here, and everybody's welcome. And it's really fun.
So I would think, Colorado is the mecca for athletes, endurance. So there must be that many athletes to have a podcast and focus on this area. Shows how athletic that state of it's probably the most athletic state in the United States.
We really do have first of all, it's a beautiful state. We have lots of recreation. Everyone thinks of skiing when they think of Colorado, but endurance. Where I live in Colorado is in Denver, and Denver is right in the middle of this corridor from Boulder, Colorado to Colorado Springs, where the Olympic Training Center is.
Oh, that's right, Colorado Springs.
And so think about the resources that we have there in terms of coaching and athletics and races, and
everybody's there.
It's a hot spot, right?
And all the companies too seem like everybody's from there.
Well, it's so funny. When I first started doing the podcast, I started by telling people, if I can't succeed at a podcast here, I couldn't succeed anywhere, right? So it's.
And how many years have you been doing this?
About 3.5 years. Yeah. So we, in fact, while we're here, we're doing our 200th episode.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Good place to celebrate it.
Good place to celebrate it. Yes.
Okay. So talk about this week. You got here Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we came in on Sunday. But we got here pretty early in the afternoon. It was mostly just a travel day and a kind of decompressed day and that sort of thing. Our week really started on Monday, and so what we are doing is we're staying out at Daylight Mine, which is a coffee shop here in town.
You're not staying.
We're not staying there. Sorry, we're operating there. Thank you for clarifying. And we're operating there with a few other companies like iCore Labs, but we also have some sponsors, so we're doing some work with them to promote them. But what we've really been trying to do is tell the story of what's happening here through video, audio podcasts, and through picture. And one of the stories that we did on Monday was there is a coach and athlete. She's actually racing here on Saturday. Her name is Coach Carrie McCoy, and she actually raced pro for a few years, and she trained out here for several years, had a host family, and was introduced to these kids who are in transitional housing, and they have no after-school program. These are kids or foster kids and that sort of thing, called Kona Kids. She created this foundation called Kona Kids. She now lives here on the island, and that's her mission, is to teach these kids life skills, good decisions, healthy living, how they can, things like they were here at the King Kamehameha Hotel doing swim instruction, teaching them how to swim, have those skills. If they ever fall out of a boat, they'll have the skills to be able to swim.
Wow.
Plus it teaches them self-confidence and camaraderie. And so it's stories like that, we like to cover those stories, people that are giving back to the community, using their platform of being a healthy athlete, healthy person, and use it as a platform, use Ironman and triathlon as a platform to do good for others.
That's a great story, except you see a lot of, I know Ironman gives a lot back to the island, and then Lava Man race in April, they do a lot of stuff for Lava Kids, and I used to help that with the kids triathlon they did, but they raise money and do events and stuff for kids on the island because they can't afford it. So I used to help Jerry Rott figure out summer camps, because when they're out of school this summer, they wouldn't have things to do. So they're trying to instill that. So it's really good behaviors you can teach kids and give them back to the triathlon world to help give back to the island. So it's good to have stories like that, because we come over and take over the island for a week or two. All these people come in town, and the people that live here probably hate it because it's just traffic jam. Is like we're having their quiet, peaceful island, and it's good and bad thing. It brings lots of money in, but then also kind of ruins their probably vibe for a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, and I think that everyone who comes here respects the island and respects that, hopefully.
So what about your event? You went USAT party, and what other? So there's Slow Twitch we missed, and there's Training Peaks. Everybody has something every day.
I actually hit Slow Twitch on the way to your event.
Oh, you did?
Yesterday. Yeah, I actually went in there, grabbed a small plate of food, and said hello to a couple of people, and then left. But we've been to Slow Twitch. We've been to the Training Peaks event that they had. ICOR had an event. I think I am definitely missing one or two, but I really enjoyed your event, and I know that you had been preparing and pulling together some experts like Dr. Paul Larson. And we had Simon Ward there. I've had a chance to talk with Simon in the past. I would love to kind of talk about that event. I thought that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. It's something I've wanted to do for, I figured, 5 years. So it's that big, hairy, audacious goal that you always want to do something. And finally, it just felt the good timing for me to launch that seminar and start doing something, if it could make it an annual event, because watching and doing this race for so many years, since I started in 2001, racing Ironman, I started coming here, and then we were talking earlier, I started doing metabolic efficiency testing in 2005 and started changing my own nutrition and training. I did Maffetone training myself with Mark Allen starting in 2004. So I've been doing this for so long. But you talked to Bob Siebelhor, metabolic efficiency specialist, and I became one of his training program. I took his 2009. And so it's interesting still observing in 2019 the dependence on carbohydrates and fuel, the sugary drinks, Gatorade, the goos, all the gels out there, and it's an endurance sport. So it's hard to figure out how to make a dent and to educate people that this is an endurance sport, not doing obstacle course racing where you're doing 100 burpees and climbing walls and everything. That's the anaerobic sport. But how do we educate people to work on their training and fueling and performing as a low-carb athlete and work on metabolic efficiency? So I think, putting into people together, like Professor Paul Larson, I heard of him and then I interviewed him. I was like, that was kind of my aha moment, that this is who I need to talk to and do the seminar with, because he was going to be here in Ironman Hawaii. He has some athletes here, he coaches that he's coming to. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I started organizing this seminar, I think in June, and found that he was the perfect person, and collaborating with people like yourself and Simon Ward and other leaders that are interested in metabolic efficiency, and trying to figure out how we can all work together to get this message out for the low carb athlete, because we're all about performance and longevity. And working with UCAN, I used to use that product when I race, and I will use it again, but just training people to use fat for fuel and stabilize their blood sugar. So it just was great to put all these people together, and we had 60 people signed up, but there's only 18 that showed up. I think part of it is because there's slow twitch party and training peaks at the same time. But it worked out great because, it was loud with the waves behind us. But so how was your experience there? What were your takeaways?
So I thought it was good. I didn't know really what to expect in terms of crowd size, but it actually, in the space that we had, I don't think you really could have fit too many more people in there anyway. But no, I had never seen Paul Larson's presentation before. So, there were a lot of the kind of concepts that, we've talked about before, that, I've talked about with Bob Siebehar on my show that we got to revisit. I liked his slides. I thought they communicated what your energy demand. I think my favorite slide was the one that communicated your energy demand or what your energy sources are during the course of an Ironman. During 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours of exercise, where are you going to get your fuel and how long will that fuel last? And there was, you could see the line chart which showed the carbohydrate and how fast that burns off and how much energy you can get from fat. And it really kind of does communicate for an event like this. You could kind of squeak by maybe in a half Ironman without being, shoving the calories that you would need if you're not fat adapted into your face. But when you get into an iron distance, you really end up with a lot of GI issues. It's just way too much carbohydrate to consume. And that was my issue.
Well, if you're doing like 3 or 4 gels an hour
that
and
was
doing
my
the sugary
issue,
drink.
because when I was not adapted, I really had a hard time with GI issues because I couldn't keep up with the demand.
Yes.
And what's funny is that if you can train your body to be fat adapted, really, you don't need to do that to yourself. You don't need to wreck your gut during a race. You got other things to figure out, right? You've got hydration and salts and stuff like that to take care of, and you do need a fuel source, but it doesn't need to be. Well, if you're flexible, if you're, am I using the right term?
Yeah,
metabolically flexible. Thank you. You're the expert. Well, then you can amp them up a little bit on a race day, right? I'll let you know better than I do.
But that's what, I was telling you to talk to Peter Defty, and we've done podcasts that just came out with that carb timing, and that's what Paul Larson was speaking about too, is that you have to, once you become fat adapted and you're training at the lower heart rates, doing your interval training when appropriate, but how you eat, Paul's more about the research of burning fat, but talking about more nutrition and how he prefers to use the green list from Dr. Tim Noakes, which Real Meal Revolution, I interviewed him like 5 years ago or something, but it's another topic that is finally becoming more popular. It's like we've all talked about this for a long time, and to teach people that they can eat fat. You don't need, like, I'm watching people behind you grab Gatorade and we're in the media room, they're not even exercising, they're walking around. It's like, we have gel goos in here, and it's just how we can all work together to educate people, especially the athletes. But Paul Larson talking about the carb timing is, you're saying is, when you're on race day, when to place those carbohydrates in, that you're still burning fat. You won't throw your body out of fat burning metabolism. So that's what the metabolic flexibility is, kind of the main goal, that I can tap into those backup reserves, and then it ends up being like fire fluid, just this extra burst of energy, because when you start to race, especially here, your heart rate's going to be a little higher at the end when you're tired in the heat. So your heart rate, you'll be burning some carbohydrates. So you will need to add a little bit more into your fuel plan when you're racing. But training is a little different. But that is kind of what I was talking about, metabolic flexibility and carb timing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the other thing I liked about the other message that was in there that I really liked was the just blood sugar stabilization, right?
Yeah.
And it's great for race day to have that nice kind of steady energy that is not fluctuating, that you're not crashing and spiking or crashing and spiking. But it's also great just living, right?
Yeah.
When you're working, right, to not have the...
It's easier not to eat.
To have a nice steady energy flow if you're
Yes.
fat adapted, and you're using fat for fuel. It does help your, I like just, nuts and...
Well, the brain fuel and focus and clarity is the ketones.
Yeah, right.
Instead of the glucose on your brain. But that's what I think a lot of people still are so carb dependent here. I thought we've made a little more of a dent this past year, but just as I was saying, you walk around and people are doing the gel blocks and the sugared Gatorade drinks and the goo, and it's interesting that there's so many thousands of people here, and why are people not aware of this yet?
Yeah, well, and I'll bet you there may be a degree of awareness that is here, but I think a lot of it is just, think about the messaging around us, right? Think of how much marketing is out there for product, and that really kind of drives our decisions. You and I sit here and know this, right? And we talk about this, and I fall off the wagon a lot more than you do. Sometimes just decision making and the messages that are around us and how disciplined we are, and I think just keep getting the word out.
Yeah. So what else did you find that was a good takeaway? Paul Larson talked, and then UCAN. Have you used UCAN for fueling at all?
I have, and I that's actually what I was referring to. I said just nice to have like nice steady energy. It was, when I use UCAN, that is my experience.
Have you used it in training workouts, or have you raced
used
with it?
Used it training and racing.
So what type of distance do you take it when you're training?
Well, it's usually if it's like a 3 hour effort or longer.
So you can go fasted or just drink water for 2 to 3 hour bike ride, or what's your tolerance?
So if I am doing anything longer than an hour at my sweat rate, I need to be taking in electrolytes. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm mostly concerned about. I'm not too concerned about fuel unless I'm going out for 3 hours or more. I'll just get by on electrolytes and water for the most part.
And then what do you tend to eat if you go on a 2-3 hour? Do you take a food to eat on a bike ride, training ride?
Well, I do on bike rides because I usually get hungry. When I am racing, if it's like a half Ironman or less, I actually don't need to actually eat anything. I'll just get by on electrolytes and just liquid sources of fuel. So
I haven't tried the UCAN. We got samples yesterday of the UCAN hydration, so I'm excited to try that because I don't do well with other products that are fizzy tabs.
Yeah.
And the stevia gives me a headache, and the fizziness always blows up your bottle if you take it in your like a run bottle or something. Right. It would kind of explode. So I'm excited to test out their.
I've never tried that. Yeah, I've got that sample now. So
yeah, so they have that, and then the fuel. So I haven't used UCAN for a couple of years. Well, I haven't raced since 2015. I did a half, and last Ironman was 2012, and I was using UCAN back then. And now, when I go riding training, I've like same thing. I'm not really hungry, so I would start using it if I'm going to use it on race day, because that's what you want to practice your fueling that you use for racing. But I tend to just, I've been doing a lot of long distance training, but I'd rather eat food. Like have I'll take nuts with me, or like this Primal Kitchen, Mark Sisson's company, they have these macadamia nut bars that are chewy and a little bit lower carb. So I'll take that with me if I need something. Yeah. Or a nut butter, Fat Bomb, or there's some other Peely Headhunters. He has these nut butters that Himalayan sea salt in them. So those are good, but just for racing, I would use UCAN, and he explained it really well. It's the whole thing, like you just said, stabilizing your blood sugar, and that's what I train my coaching clients that the main goal is to balance the blood sugar and not have the spikes, and that's why that UCAN I find is beneficial for those races that you need some fuel, that you're going longer, you need a little extra something, but have that steady flow of energy so you avoid the spikes, which is going to take away that GI distress that talked about. Bob Siebelhorn talked a lot about that. Metabolic efficiency benefits are that main motivator for athletes, I would think, is that GI stress, because how many people get bloated bellies when they're trying to throw all this fuel in and they can't digest it.
And that slows you down, right?
It slows down because you're running to the toilet.
Or walking, right?
Yeah.
Right? Just because you can't, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, distended bellies, gas,
well, and for
running
me,
tummy.
Yeah, and throwing up.
Yeah.
Which is not fun. It's not fun to do. Yeah, so.
That's what Simon said, and I said, same thing you did. I think Matt Bach, who's the UCAN rep, we're all saying the same thing. So I think that's, everyone that throws up should probably pay attention to this story.
Something's wrong if you're throwing up during a race.
Yeah, I used to do it all the time.
And it happens, right? And I see people, and it's like, people, and people will figure it out, right, when they're ready. And hopefully we're giving them, hopefully they're listening to your podcast.
Well, that's what I told you, I'm trying to switch the focus to educate more people how to be fat adapted, but the low carb athlete and sharing articles on that on social media, the research behind it, and Paul Larson's done a lot of that, the science behind it, and Maffetone, of course, has been around for 30 plus years talking about it, and Tim Noakes has lots of great information. So there's great resources out there. So I always find myself finding more research to show the science behind it instead of my intuitive nutrition and fueling. It's like, this makes sense to me. If you look at, the Volek and Finney's books and Bob Seebohor's book, you read that information, and all the research goes back to pretty much Volek and Finney, and then the FASTER study. And Peter Defty has a lot of information too. So there's all these resources out there. So I'm just trying to be the person to share that all information so people get more educated and start when they're ready to be like, okay, I'm tired of throwing up in a race and having GI problems, then maybe they'll be more open to, like, I need to do something, hit rock bottom. Same thing with people who have health problems that have, chronic fatigue, burnout, and breakdown. You finally, it's like, I need to get help and order the right labs and get some health coach to help me. You just have to hit rock bottom before you're actually going to make a difference. So I think the people that were at the seminar yesterday were all people we've all thrown up enough
right,
that we wanted to make a change. And I used to do that when I started 2001 to 2005. I was like trying, so many calories an hour. I tried hammer nutrition. I tried Infinite. I used to do Perpetuum, and all these different things. And I just like throwing up every hour instead. So that's for me when I started to think outside the box. And it even happened before then, going, all right, I just had a banana and a Cliff Bar and orange juice for breakfast. How's this? I'd feel like crap afterwards. And then I started like, I'm just not going to eat. I have fat in my body to burn. Well, I bonked and had to, recover, and I wrote that in my book, but that was in 2001. And I was like, well, this makes no sense. How am I supposed to burn fat and use it for energy when I want to lose weight and I go for a ride and I'm supposed to eat 500 calories an hour? So I think when you start thinking outside the box, it helps.
Yeah, well, and I think there's even more to it than the GI distress. There's also just your performance. I mean, we talk about not slowing down, but we really didn't talk about just speeding up. Right? Because
and recovery and repair.
When Bob Seebohar and I did our experiment, we did a kind of a documented experiment of kind of I think 7 weeks is that was where he worked with me on my nutrition to get fat adapted or more fat adapted. But my pace on the run, or my we hit that. Really metabolic exchange point is what they call it, where you start to burn more start to burn more carbohydrate than fat, dropped by about 55 seconds on the run in just 7 weeks. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't do nutrition changes that much, or
no? I didn't do any. I didn't do any. I was just eating my normal diet before we started working together. I was training the same way, never changed my training, so I didn't periodize training any differently, just changed diet. Just had the right target grams of fat, protein, and carbohydrate, and 7 weeks. And that's and think about how that makes you feel. When you hit that metabolic exchange point and you're running or you're riding, when you hit that, you feel different. Your legs feel heavy, and and you don't, and it's not comfortable to do for an Ironman, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, you see how many people are, the underpants run this morning.
Right, yeah.
Everyone is pretty lean and strong here, these top athletes from around the world. So right. I think some people can tolerate a little more carbohydrates. They make, they're not over fat, the fit, over fat and unhealthy people here, they're more, because that's what you see at a lot of races is people that are training but they're not losing weight, and that's the whole thing. It's like, because you're burning sugar, not fat. And I think some people that are here, they might look really good, but it's that fit and healthy. What are you doing to your insides? Right. The oxidative stress, we're talking about the free radicals you're eating from all that sugar, and the chronic stress from the chronic exercise and our lifestyle, that you're just speeding up the aging process. So I think being fat adapted, and what we talk about, the holistic method, that you're really working on your performance, but let's look into the future. And I think everyone yesterday was tying that in. It's like, let's look at what you're doing to your body now. How is that going to be 10 years from now? Are you going to look like you're 20 years older than you actually are? For me, that's what I want, more awareness about. What am I doing to my cells, and am I damaging myself just to, finish Ironman Hawaii and you're top in your age group? How can you do it healthy?
Well, it'll keep you young.
Yeah. So a lot of people, someone's talking about how they're speeding up the aging process, how some of these old, the people that in the Palace party last night, they're into the inductees into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And how
Tim DeBoom and Michaela Jones.
Yeah.
We actually got a chance to talk to Tim DeBoom the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I think he's great. And then but I'll talk about that, but just how the longevity, if you look at ex-pro triathletes back in the day, do they look their age or do they look older? Do they damage themselves? Like 30 years ago, these top athletes, how's the health of their body from what they did, because everyone ate all that sugar and did that higher heart rate, and that's like Mark Allen did maffetone, and that's why his claim to fame is winning so many titles, because he did low heart rate and calm and relax and spiritual side of training. So it's kind of fun to see, okay, what do you look like 20 years from now? What's going to happen? So anyways, talk about Tim DeBoom and other athletes you've talked to.
Oh yeah. So we had a chance. Tim DeBoom came by Daylight Mine where we were, and we got a chance to talk to he and Nicole DeBoom, and their daughter is here with them.
They were at the party last night.
Yep, they were at the party last night, and it was
what's her name? Wilder, the daughter.
I think that's right. And we got to see Nicole and Wilder do hula dance lessons together.
At Daylight Mine?
Yeah, it was right outside of Daylight Mine.
Oh,
it was pretty
funny.
Cool. And then we got a chance to talk to Sam Long. So Sam is he's a 23-year-old pro out of Boulder, Colorado. He just won Ironman Chattanooga by 9 minutes over Chris Leiferman. And he came in second place. And he also won Chattanooga 70.3. He is the seventh pro to qualify for Kona 2020. So his sponsor Sunto sent him out here, get him a little bit of exposure to this race.
Wow!
And he'll be back here next year. He'll be the youngest pro to race next year, probably.
23. So
he's 23 today. He'll be 24. Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah, and this kid here, this is pretty interesting. This kid, he decided to race his first Ironman at the age of 18, coming off of an injury, and I think he trained for maybe three months for it. He won his age group.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun to chat with him. He's got a lot of energy. So those are just two fun conversations we've had with some of the pros.
So you're off to the press now. We'll wrap up, and the next event today is the press. You're going to the pro women and pro men panel.
Got the pro panel coming up here shortly, and then this evening we're actually covering an event. It is the retelling of Iron War with Mark Allen and Dave Scott. I know. Is this cool?
I think they must be so sick of talking about it, because Mark, I've known for years, and he always has to tell that story. I'm like, how do you retell that story? Now they're promoting. Is it a book that they did together, the retelling the Iron War?
I think they're retelling this. I don't know if it's a book or not. So anyway, I'll have a lot more to tell about this tomorrow.
We'll get a recap. So are you not going to welcome dinners tonight? So they must be doing it before the welcome dinner, or is that instead they're boycotting the
I don't know.
dinner?
I don't know. I know I'm off to that thing around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Oh, I must come after, because they have to be at the dinner
I'm
thing.
sure they will, yeah.
I'll find out, because I'm probably sitting with Mark at our table,
okay,
so I'll
good.
find out.
Excellent.
So I think he should be there. But all right, well, so thank you for your recap. We'll have to get more maybe tomorrow and get your updates, since you're doing more of the behind the scenes than I am.
And we should talk about, we did our swim together.
Yes.
Or sort of.
I know. The swim after the underpants run is a little chaotic with all those people there, but
it's
swim.
hard to catch people.
Yeah, and the swim to the coffee boat. This was the last day. So did you go get coffee?
I did get coffee. Yeah, absolutely.
There's that. It was I always loved swimming out there, and it was a little bit choppier today, a little more current and clouds, but when it's sunny morning, the sun's rising. It's kind of magical, but it was a little different today.
It's magical every day I get in that water. I love that. I don't like dark, cold lakes.
Yeah.
I love warm seawater is great.
Did you see a lot of fish? I saw this school of 1,000 fish
yeah.
that I was like, oh my God, what is that? And then I realized it was just fish, but I panicked for a split second.
and my buddy Kim saw a sea turtle.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, and my friend Bill Block, who was out there last year, he was in a school of dolphins the first day he was there.
I always hear those stories. It's never happened to me.
Yeah.
I bet that's pretty magical.
He said it was pretty amazing. For sure.
So I'll finish up. I'll have to read this article, but I looked up after 3 Uber rides yesterday, going back and forth through the seminar. I had every driver talking about healing in the spiritual island.
Yeah.
And I looked it up when I wrote my book, Life is Not a Race, about the Madame Pele and the island, how the spiritual side of it. So if you look up kind of why is it healing, it's kind of like Sedona, the chakras, but this is the energy center. But one person was telling me that their healing, the best way to heal is jump in the ocean.
Yeah.
And that's the healing part, the spiritual part of the island. But if you want to learn more, you just look up, I shared an article on my Facebook page, but it was just about Madame Pele and the energy. And because I don't know if you have ever been out there, and I don't know, it's when you're training and racing for Ironman Hawaii, so many times you're in your own headspace, and I found, you connect out to the Madame Pele. I used to say, to get energy from the island, and Mark Allen taught me that. And for years, I haven't raced since 2012 here, but I had that experience that you just feel this, be open to what the island gives you. So hopefully everyone can experience that some way or form. It's just, you have to be open to it. And I'm not a super religious person, but it is this weird thing. If you get out of the hubbub of everything,
right,
but just kind of allow yourself to be open and be in a quiet place and just kind of feel the energy off the island and off the ocean. And
it fills you back up.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're out of time, but I wanted to get your recap on everything, and we'll get more hopefully before we're done Ironman Hawaii 2019.
Well, thank you for letting me chat with you a bit, and I apologize for my voice. This is not my normal voice. I came down with a little bit of a head cold before I got here, and so hopefully by tomorrow I'll sound a little better.
Okay, go get a turmeric shot, turmeric ginger.
Yeah, that's good.
They have lava java. They have ginger tea. That'd be good too.
Nice recommendation. Thank you. All right.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.